The story begins in the summer of 1947, a time of burgeoning Cold War, paranoia, and fascination with the skies. In early July, a rancher named WWW, Mac Brazel, was riding across the Foster Ranch near Corona, New Mexico. His routine survey of the property was interrupted by an unusual sight. Spread across a significant area was a field of strange, lightweight debris. The material was unlike anything Brazel had ever encountered on his remote ranch. He described fragments of metallic foil, tough paper-like material, and small, balsa wood-like sticks. Some of the sticks reportedly had strange markings on them, which he would later describe as resembling figures. After gathering some of the material, Brazel eventually reported his find to the local sheriff in Roswell. The sheriff, in turn, contacted the Roswell Army Airfield, RAF, home of the elite 509th Bomb Group. Major Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer, was dispatched to investigate the debris field. Marcel, accompanied by another officer, drove out to the ranch to meet Brazel and see the site for himself. They spent time collecting a significant amount of the wreckage. On July 8, 1947, the RAF's public information officer, Walter Haut, issued a stunning press release. It announced that the military had recovered the remains of a flying disc. The news spread like wildfire, igniting public imagination and media frenzy. The Roswell Daily Record famously ran the headline, "RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region." However, the excitement was incredibly short-lived. Within 24 hours, the military abruptly changed its story. In Roja Rami, Marcel's superior, held a press conference in Fort Worth, Texas. He presented debris to the cameras, identifying it as the remains of a common weather balloon. Major Marcel was ordered to pose for photographs with the newly identified wreckage. The official explanation was that the intelligence officer had simply made a mistake. The flying disc story was retracted, and the weather balloon explanation became the official narrative. For over 3 decades, the Roswell incident faded into relative obscurity. It was just another quirky footnote in the early history of UFO sightings. Then, in the late 1970s, interest was reignited by UFO researchers. Jesse Marcel, now retired, came forward to challenge the official story he had been part of. He claimed the weather balloon was a cover story, a fabrication he was forced to support. Marcel insisted the material he originally found was not of this world. He described foil that could be crumpled into a ball, but would unfold itself without a single crease. His testimony opened the floodgates for other witnesses to come forward. Stories began to emerge that were far more sensational than just a field of debris. Some locals claimed to have seen a second, more significant crash site. Witnesses like Glenn Dennis, a mortician, added grim details to the evolving legend. Dennis claimed he received inquiries from the airbase about the availability of child-sized coffins. He also spoke of a nurse who allegedly described seeing non-human bodies recovered from the crash. These second-hand accounts fueled the theory that the government was concealing an extraterrestrial craft and its crew. The Roswell incident transformed into the cornerstone of modern UFO mythology. Books, documentaries, and television shows dissected every aspect of the competing narratives. The public's fascination and suspicion continued to grow for decades. In the 1990s, facing mounting pressure, the United States Air Force decided to declassify its records. It published 2 comprehensive reports to finally put the matter to rest. The reports introduced a new, and highly classified, explanation for the 1947 event. The wreckage, the Air Force stated, was not a weather balloon, but something far more secret It was from a top-secret program called Project Mogul. Project Mogul was a high-altitude balloon project designed for Cold War espionage. Its purpose was to listen for the sound waves generated by Soviet atomic bomb tests. The balloons consisted of long trains of neoprene balloons, carrying sophisticated acoustic sensors. They also carried radar reflectors to track their position. The materials used in these reflectors, foil-faced paper and wooden dowels, matched Brazel's original description closely. The strange hieroglyphics reported by Marcel were identified as tape with floral or geometric patterns used by a toy company that manufactured some components. The initial flying disc story was a cover to conceal the true, highly classified nature of Project Mogul. Officials were more comfortable with UFO rumors than with the Soviets learning about their surveillance capabilities. This explanation accounted for the debris, the secrecy, and the military's clumsy retraction. The Air Force report also had to address the most sensational claims, the alien bodies. The second report, Case Closed, published in 1997, tackled this issue directly. It concluded that the body stories were a fabrication, a conflation of separate events. The report suggested these memories were likely distorted recollections of various military accidents. Furthermore, it pointed to a series of high-altitude experiments in the 1950s. These experiments involved dropping anthropomorphic test dummies from balloons to study parachute deployment. These crash test dummies could have been mistaken for non-human figures by casual observers. The Air Force argued that over decades, these disparate events were compressed and merged into the Roswell legend. To believers, the Project Mogul explanation was just another, more sophisticated cover-up. They argue that the government is still hiding the real wreckage and its occupants. They point to the shifting official stories as proof of a conspiracy. The inconsistencies in some witness testimonies are often overlooked in favor of the more sensational claims. Skeptics, however, maintain that the spy balloon explanation is the most logical and well-evidenced conclusion. They emphasize that the alien stories only began to appear 30 years after the event. They suggest that memories became embellished and contaminated over time. The Roswell incident thus remains a starkly divided narrative. Is it the story of a crashed spy balloon, concealed by a necessary Cold War lie? Or is it the story of a world-changing event, suppressed by a global conspiracy? The secret truth of the Roswell crash depends entirely on who you choose to believe. The physical evidence from 1947 is long gone, leaving only stories. The debate highlights a deep-seated distrust between the public and official institutions. It speaks to a collective desire to believe we are not alone in the universe. The town of Roswell itself has embraced its unique place in cultural history. It has become a pilgrimage site for UFO enthusiasts from around the world. Ultimately, the Roswell case may never be definitively solved to everyone's satisfaction. The narrative of the spy balloon provides a logical, terrestrial explanation. It fits the historical context of the early Cold War period perfectly. The technology of Project Mogul was advanced in secret, making it easily misidentified. The military's response, while clumsy, is understandable given the stakes of the project. The UFO narrative, on the other hand, relies on delayed and often contradictory testimony. Many of the key witnesses only came forward after the story gained popularity. The lack of any verifiable, non-terrestrial material remains a significant hole in the alien theory. Yet, the story persists, fueled by a powerful sense of mystery and wonder. It has become a modern myth, a piece of American folklore. The truth, whether mundane or extraordinary, may be forever buried under layers of speculation and time. The initial discovery by Mac Brazel was an accident of time and place. He could not have known the cultural storm his finding would unleash. The military's initial confirmation of a disk was a public relations error of massive proportions. That single press release gave the story an initial legitimacy it might never have otherwise gained. The subsequent retraction created the appearance of a cover-up, regardless of the reason. General Remy's press conference was a desperate attempt at damage control. The weather balloon he displayed was likely a prop, not the actual debris. This act of substitution further fueled the suspicions of researchers decades later. The real Project Mogul debris was likely classified and whisked away for analysis. The silence of the government for 30 years created a vacuum that mythology rushed to fill. The cultural context of the 1970s, with its post-Watergate cynicism, was fertile ground for conspiracy. People were primed to believe that their government was capable of grand deceptions. Stanton Friedman, a nuclear physicist, became the leading civilian investigator of the case. His work gave the UFO hypothesis a veneer of scientific credibility. The story of the bodies, however, remains the most contentious and least verifiable element. No first-hand witness to the bodies has ever been definitively confirmed. The accounts are always second or third-hand, stories told about what someone else saw. This makes them impossible to substantiate and easy to dismiss as rumor. The crash test dummy explanation, while seemingly bizarre, aligns with documented Air Force activities. The timeline, however, is a point of contention, as these tests were years after 1947. Believers argue it's an anachronistic attempt to explain away the original bodies. The spy balloon theory provides a single, cohesive explanation for the 1947 debris duct. The alien wreckage theory requires multiple, extraordinary assumptions to hold true. It requires a crashed ship, a government conspiracy, and decades of perfect silence from thousands of personnel. Occam's razor. The principle that the simplest explanation is often the best favors Project Mogul. Yet, the allure of the extraordinary is a powerful force. The Roswell story fulfills a deep human need for wonder. Transforms a remote patch of desert into a stage for a cosmic drama. The debate itself has become a part of the story, a testament to its enduring power. Whether fact or fiction, the incident forced a conversation about government secrecy. It questioned the boundary between national security and the public's right to know. The legacy of 1947 is not in the debris, but in the questions that debris left behind. These questions continue to resonate in the public consciousness today. The quiet desert of New Mexico still holds its secrets close. Wind whispers through the scrub, carrying fragments of conflicting stories. For every official report, there is a compelling personal testimony. For every logical explanation, there is a hint of otherworldly possibility. The secret truth of Roswell is a mosaic of fact, memory, and myth. Its final image is one of profound and perhaps permanent ambiguity. The original RAF press release was a moment of unguarded truth or a colossal blunder. The speed of the retraction suggests a panic within the military command. Project Mogul secrecy was paramount in the tense atmosphere of 1947. Losing a balloon was one thing. Revealing its purpose to the Soviets was another. This provides a powerful motive for the subsequent cover story. The memories of witnesses, filtered through decades, are notoriously unreliable. The human mind often seeks patterns and creates narratives where none exist. Later accounts may have been influenced by the growing UFO pop culture. The story became a feedback loop. Media reports fueled new memories, which fueled more reports. Ultimately, the physical evidence is what is missing from the extraterrestrial hypothesis. No piece of the wreckage has ever been produced that defies scientific analysis. The memory metal and unbreakable beams remain purely anecdotal. The Roswell story is a perfect storm of secrecy, timing, and the human desire to believe. It is a modern legend, etched not in stone, but in the shifting sands of public memory.